Alright everybody, this is the trick torn and restored card. So just in how this effect works, give the spectator randomly choose a card, riffling down the deck, they choose a card. We're going to take this one, doesn't matter if I see it, for instance, this time it's the 7 of diamonds. Alright, well, then the spectator proceeds to tear up the card. So, one tear, I'm going to fold this lengthways so you can see it. And give it a tear. One piece into two pieces. And then tear it into four pieces. So that you have pieces of the card. And there you go. And then you take one piece out, doesn't matter, just take a piece out, and you give it to the spectator. Now here's where the fun comes in, because now we have to put this card back together. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to take this, and... oh, you can't see. And watch. Blow on it, and... wow. I know what to do. So I'm going to take the cards, the pieces, like so. I'm going to hold them really tight and squeeze them. Oh, well. Oh, I know how this works. See, cards always go back to their original spot into boxes. And then when you want them to reappear, ta-da, reformed. And then to prove that it's the spectator's original card, we have a piece that matches. There you go. Sorry, kind of lacking on presentation, but I don't have spectators and don't really have any way of misdirecting you on camera. Problem with cameras. Anyways, so I'm assuming you saw this, but I'm going to explain the whole of it to you and then give you some advice for your own presentations. So how this effect works? Well, you will need two cards. These cards will be gone forever and ever, amen. This is their ultimate fate. So use two cards that you don't care about. This is also getting into Magic that requires you to destroy decks. I highly recommend you all head out to like Costco or Sam's Club or some such version of same wherever you live and buy yourself a large package of bicycle cards. I, at one point in time when I was younger, bought I think like 50 or 60 decks and I have yet to go through them. So for the past 10 years I haven't bought a single deck of cards. I'm starting to run out though, and it's terrible. I'm gonna have to go buy more cards. Oh well. Anyways, so what you do is you take your two cards, one of these you're gonna tear up, the other one is for the spectator to tear up later on. You just fold it into quarters like this, fold it in half, short ways, then long ways, blah blah blah, and tear out one of the corners. Set this aside. Hold on to this. Now when you go to do the effect, you're going to have to force this card to the spectator. I like to use riffle forces for my forces, and if you don't know how to do that, go up probably this side, I think. Go to that side and watch the techniques video, scroll down to click on the techniques thing, like the start here button, and go down and there's a video in there about how to force cards. So go watch that video, learn how to force cards. Anyways, you need to force this card to the spectators. Boom. Spectator gets this card forced. Now, before the trick, I recommend palming this piece. Just kind of hold it here in your hand. This doesn't really look natural on the video camera because all you can see is my hands. And so you're watching them very closely, and when you see anything out of sorts, it's just like, oh my gosh, something's going on. In real life, when you're standing up, when you're moving around, when you're talking, gesturing, whatever, it's very easy to do that force while palming this card also. while palming that piece, I can do it endlessly. So, just hold it palmed here as you're doing the effect. Place the deck down, let them hold the card, whatever. Nobody will really notice it. You can see it now just because the only thing you can see is my hand, so there's nothing else distracting you from it. So, the spectator will choose this card. They're going to tear it up into 4 pieces. However you want to have them tear it up. I always like magicians. I always like doing things that are kind of unexpected or oops, this went wrong, but not really type thing. So I always like to kind of trick the spectators into tearing it up. And then be annoyed when they did. And be like, oh, I gotta put this thing back together again. What is this? So they tear it up into 4 pieces. Take the 4 pieces from them. And then I even at this point like to put things back together. One way or another, you need to get your original piece that you had to your spectator. Don't forget which one this is. I like to keep it on the back of the pile so that I always know which one it is. And one way or another, you need to get it to them. So, take this piece and give it to the spectator. You can give it to the spectator. You can say this is your receipt for your card. You can try and put it back together, let it fall, watch it fall, and then say, well, here, you hold on to that one. I'll just work with the other ones first. Whatever. Figure out a fun, clever way to do that. But one way or another, the spectator needs this piece. After that, you need to make these disappear. And this is dependent upon your routine. So you're pretty much done now. You make these disappear in some way, shape, or form. Burn them, make them disappear, vanish, whatever, palm them, blah. Doesn't matter. And then you bring this out in some way, shape, or form. And lo and behold, the card has restored. And the pieces are back together. This is the basic torn and restored effect. But how to make it good? One thing that's really nice is if you keep this in a predisposed spot that you had, quote, no access to at all, unquote. For me, in this particular performance, I did the card box because it's sitting here on my table. You put the card into the box. You could even hand this to the spectator. Say, did you know that this is the origin of all cards? Of all card magic is the card box. And you could do something along the likes of, tear up the card and say, the thing is though, when you take cards, when they're torn up, when they die, haha, hey, I just thought of a good script. When cards die, when you tear them up and they die, they vanish, but they always go back, but the cycle repeats itself, and they always go back. Oof, there we go. To the origins. And then look, it's back together. The key to a good torn and restored effect is in its presentation value. And there's a couple things you need to know to make a good torn and restored presentation. So I'm going to share just a quick couple tips on those. First thing, the original restored card, you want to keep it in a secure, quote, secure location. So a card box that has been closed, maybe sealed, give it to the spectator. Have them hang on to it. If they're holding it, they know you're not touching it. Keep it there to know that you haven't messed with this before the effect. Don't let them shake it though, because they'll know there's something in there. Or a lemon. This is how you do the classic card and lemon routine. You pre-tear the card, and you roll it up, and you shove it into a lemon. And then you give the lemon to the spectator. It's very simple. Now, there's a little more to it in that respect, but you just kind of go whatever. So that's the first step you need to making this into a really good routine. The second step is how you're going to make the pieces disappear. When I do this routine, I like to burn them. And I like to really burn them. If I'm at a restaurant or something, I'll take out an ashtray and I'll put them in an ashtray and I'll set them on fire with a lighter or something, wrap them in a napkin, set them on fire, watch them burn. You can also palm them and, quote, fold them into a piece of flash paper, unquote, and ignite the flash paper. But I really, really like burning these because it destroys the evidence. Like, they're gone, Nobody's going to inspect them later on. Evidence gone completely and utterly. So that is my favorite thing to do. Make them explode, burn them, whatever. So I highly recommend you go and kind of discover what works for you. Come up with a fun routine and a fun reason for why the card needs to be restored. Michael Amar did this with a card and wallet. He would take the pieces and he would put them in his hand, and he had his credit card palmed, and he would just wave his hand over it. So if you pretended this was my credit card, write a dollar sign on it. There we go. Let's pretend this is the credit card. He would just take it, palm it in his hand, and go, "Wah! Wait a minute, that's not your card. That's my card." And then holding the pieces behind here, he would literally just grab the card, put it into his wallet, and put it into his pocket to ditch the pieces. And then pull out his wallet and say, "Well, if my credit card is out here, then your card must be in my wallet." And then he would open it up, and boom, the card was in the wallet with the piece and everything. So become creative with how your effect is going to solve itself. I've taught you the solution. Now you need the presentation. And think about what you like. Think about all the things that it could happen in, or all the different scenarios you could be in. You know, I thought of doing this with really, really, really large cards and making it appear in a cantaloupe or a watermelon. I'm going to have to experiment with that. The problem is really, really large cards cost about $15 a deck, so it kind of breaks your budget. But you can do this 52 times, so. Anyways, so go out and enjoy it, and I hope you use this and add it to your routine. It's an absolutely wonderful effect.